The moon hung low over the quiet town, bathing everything in silver light. In a small, candlelit room, Ethan sat by the window, his fingers weakly strumming the strings of an old guitar. The melody was haunting, beautiful, yet unfinished, just like him. His body, once strong, was failing. Doctors had given him months, maybe weeks, but he no longer counted the days. That was when she first saw him. Lyra had been gliding through the night, collecting fallen teeth from children, leaving behind shimmering coins and wishes. But something about Ethan made her stop. His music was unlike anything she had ever heard, filled with longing, sorrow, and something even she couldn't name. For the first time in centuries, she hesitated. Invisible to the human eye, she stepped closer. The golden dust that trailed behind her danced in the air, swirling gently around Ethan. He shivered, though the night was warm. Then, as if sensing her presence, he whispered into the darkness. "Who's there?" Lyra should have left. She should have vanished into the wind like she always did. But something inside her refused. That night, instead of delivering dreams, she stayed by his bedside, watching over him as he slept. Night after night, Lyra returned. She told herself it was just curiosity, just a fascination with the way Ethan played his guitar despite the pain racking his body. But deep down, she knew the truth, she was falling in love. Ethan's condition worsened with each passing day, and Lyra knew she could do nothing to stop it. Her magic could soothe his pain but never cure him. Still, she stayed, sprinkling fairy dust over his weary body, giving him peaceful sleep and stolen moments of relief. One evening, Ethan did something unexpected. He reached out, his fingers brushing through the air where she stood, unseen. And then, with a soft smile, he whispered, "I don't know who you are, but I know you're here." Lyra's heart ached. She wanted to speak, to tell him she was real, but the laws of her kind forbade it. Fairies and humans were never meant to love. But love had already bloomed. One night, when Ethan was too weak to play, Lyra could no longer bear it. Ignoring everything she had been taught, she made herself visible. Ethan gasped, his tired eyes widening in awe. You're real." Tears welled in Lyra's eyes. "I've always been here." Ethan lifted a trembling hand, and for the first time, Lyra let him touch her. His fingers, calloused from years of music, traced her face with reverence. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "Are you an angel?" Lyra smiled through her tears. "No, Ethan, I'm just a fairy who fell in love." And that night, as the stars bore witness, Lyra and Ethan shared a love that was never meant to exist. As their love deepened, Lyra grew desperate. She had lived for centuries, but for the first time, she feared time itself. Ethan's body was growing weaker. The light in his eyes was fading. "I don't want to leave you," Ethan murmured one night, his head resting in her lap. Lyra ran her fingers through his hair, willing her magic to keep him here just a little longer. "Then don't," he chuckled weakly. If only love could stop death. Lyra knew it couldn't, but magic could do impossible things. There was a legend among fairies, one that spoke of a wish so powerful it could defy the laws of nature. It came at a terrible cost, but Lyra didn't care. That night, she stood beneath the ancient stars and made her wish. "Let me carry a part of him forever." The sky trembled, the winds howled, a pulse of golden light wrapped around Lyra, sinking into her very soul. She gasped, clutching her chest as an unfamiliar warmth bloomed inside her. And then, silence. When Lyra returned to Ethan's side, she knew the truth. Her wish had been granted. But fate was cruel. Ethan's breathing was shallow. His lips parted, as if to say her name, but the words never came. With one final breath, he slipped away in her arms. And Lyra, the immortal fairy, wept for the first time in her endless existence. Lyra wandered through time like a ghost, her heart shattered. But within her, something miraculous grew, a child. A being that had never existed before, not in any fairy tale or legend. A child born of magic and mortal love. When the boy was born, Lyra named him Elias. He had his father's eyes, his father's hands, and a soul that hummed with forgotten melodies. But fairyland did not welcome him. A child of both worlds was unnatural. The elders whispered, the winds carried warnings, and Lyra knew she would never be accepted again. So she left. She raised Elias in the human world, hiding her wings, blending into a life she was never meant to live. She told him stories of his father, of a man who played songs that made the stars weep. And when Elias was old enough, she gave him something precious, Ethan's unfinished guitar. Years passed, and Elias grew. He never knew his father, but he felt him in every note he played. The guitar, worn but still strong, became an extension of his soul. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Elias sat by the window, the same window Ethan had once gazed from. His fingers brushed against the strings, and without knowing why, he played. The melody was haunting, beautiful, unfinished. Lyra froze. It was Ethan's song. Tears spilled down her cheeks as Elias played the notes his father had left behind. And then, as the final chord rang out into the evening air, the wind carried a voice. "I never left you." Elias paused, looking up. "Mom, did you hear that?" Lyra smiled through her tears. "Yes, because love never dies. It lingers in music, in memories, in the whisper of the wind." And in that moment, Lyra knew, Ethan had never truly left. The song would go on,